Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Babylon 5 Retrospective. This week on the program, we're talking about Season 3, Episode 19. Gray 17 is missing. Where is it? Who knows? Maybe we'll find out. But before we talk about that, let me welcome my co host, the man who is never missing, even when he's in Gray 17. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, Babylon 5 fans.
Good evening. Yes, good evening. Good evening. Cam, do you have any thing you need administration stuff? Yeah, I need to go over before. I got something, but just
I do not. Go ahead.
okay. So I just wanted to mention before. I'll mention at the end too. Maybe we have our other show, the Top Loft Lounge, has its 100th episode extravaganza on Sunday. Yeah, big deal. 100 episodes. Wow. I can't believe it. We survived that long. So we're going to be doing, well, we're not sure exactly what we're going to be doing. Cam wants to do a little bit of a look back at what we went through and also ask the fans where they want us to go in the future. What do you want us to do? That sort of thing. I think that's a good idea, but I think maybe, Cam, we might need some more stuff to go talk about. Maybe.
Sure.
I don't know if it's a whole show, but anyway, so if you want to, throw in the chat, throw in after this comment, put something in the Discord, what you think we should do for the 100th extravaganza. We appreciate any and stuff, and we'll look at them and we'll figure it out. And Cam will be giving out nudes to everyone who watches live for that show, of course. We already talked about that, so yeah. All right. And before Cam can deny that we're going to do that, let's bring on the rest of our panelists tonight. Let's bring on Madman. Welcome, Madman.
Good evening.
And of course, our other regular panelist, Death Angel Shadow, Jeff.
What's up?
Welcome.
Hey.
All right. Okay, before we get on with the regular part of the show, we have a little bit of sad. Yes, we made it to 100, almost. Well, this Sunday we'll make it. Zowie, that is. Yes, exactly. Before that, we have a little bit of sad news that Madman is going to talk about for Babylon 5 fans. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, if
to you.
you're familiar with the series very well, you know the actor Riff Hutton. He passed away this past week. He's also Dr. Ron Welch in Doogie Howser, MD, Lieutenant Commander Alan Maitland Jag, but also he was the ISN reporter in Season 2's Long Twilight's Struggle. Yes, it was a bit part to the situation, but of course, part of the Babylon 5 family on there, since it was up in front. Anyone who has worked on it, is part of the family. And rest in peace, Riff. Very good actor. He's done many other shows, including some Star Trek stuff and many things throughout his career. Check out his IMDb. You'll see a lot of stuff from him.
Yes, rest in peace, Riff. Thanks. Yeah, awesome. All right, and let me bring in Jason as well. All right.
No, wait.
There we go. Oh my.
That would help.
There we
go.
There we go.
Hey, why am I backwards?
All right. Okay. Okay, let's get on with the show as per usual. First thing, we'll go to trivia questions from last week. What happened? Actually, you know what? We should say hello to everybody in the chat first. That would be probably a good idea. Gavin Unit 1, welcome. Have we seen you before? Hello. Yeah, welcome to the show. Of course, Dave brings greetings from the Narn delegation as usual. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you seeing you here. Who else? I think that's it. Anybody else is hiding in the chat? That's fine. No, you don't.
We'll get him in. We'll get him in.
You don't need to talk if you don't want to. That's perfectly fine. All right. Okay. Okay. Let's go to trivia. Trivia from last week. The trivia questions from Walkabout. Where does Sheridan decide to take a walk? What Narn food is most like Swedish meatballs? That one might be a little hard one. What does the new Vorlon ambassador wish to be called? What religion does Dr. Franklin practice, and which doctor diagnosed the singer? That means originally before Dr. Franklin got there. And your answers, of course, are Sheridan goes for a walk outside the station on those long bar things that stick out in the front of it. And the Narn food, like Swedish meatballs, is Breen. And the New Vorland ambassador wants to be called, of course, Kosh, because hey, there's no confusion. Dr. Franklin practiced foundationism, whatever that is. And it was a Dr. Kyle who first diagnosed the singer with her neurogenic. I can't even remember what it was. Anyway, it's bad. It was bad. All right. Now, what about this episode? Cam, do you want to get us started with your quick episode summary?
Certainly. Okay, Gray 17 is missing, episode 63, episode 19 of season 3, written by J. Michael Straczynski, original air date September 1st, 1996, and production date 3/19, so right in order of air date. Garibaldi investigates an abandoned level of the station. Delenn is installed as the head of the Rangers, but Neroon doubts her worthiness.
All right, let me go through this real quick. So the episode starts off before the opening. We have what's his name, Zach, trying to recruit some telepaths. As a guy who's a bit of a clown about it. We go back to the CNC, and they're Ivanova and Sheridan are talking, and they say, "Hey, I bet we need these telepaths. Maybe Franklin's got all the names of the ones that were sneaking through the station. Maybe we could use that to find some more." And of course, we have a maintenance worker who's doing some sort of maintenance in Gray 17, between Gray 17 and Gray 16, I believe, and he gets pulled away as if he's been attacked by some sort of monster. A little bit scary. And then, of course, we have the intro, and we come back, and we are back on Minbar and Sinclair's things. Delenn is taking them, and there's a little bit of discussion about Ranger 1, and it's suggested that she should become Ranger 1. And meanwhile, Garibaldi is showing off a .38 revolver when Zach comes in and tells him that a maintenance worker is missing, and he says, "Hey, I'm going to go investigate that." So in the first act of the show, we have they're attempting to recruit telepaths. You've got Delenn getting the job of Ranger 1, and something going on in Gray 17. From there, we go to Ivanova goes and sees Franklin and finds out where the file for the Neroon confronts Delenn, and he is not happy, and basically says it's not right that she's a religious caste, and now she's running a military group, the Rangers, which were supposed to be run by the Warriors. And he suggests that she might be, up to some sort of shenanigans, and it's a bad idea for a bunch of, a religious zealot, he calls her, to run the military. And of course, Minbari, we were supposed to be split this way, and she's kind of going against that. And he says that he will do whatever is necessary by whatever means necessary in order to stop her, which kind of implies that maybe he'd kill her. But of course, we know Minbari don't kill each other. And if, two high-ranking ones like Delenn and Neroon were doing something like that, it might be very, very bad for the Minbari, as in Civil War type thing, which kind of would be bad at this point. And of course, Garibaldi does some detective work by timing elevators, and he finds out that, hey, there is an entire floor that is a Gray 17, which nobody can get to. He sneaks his way through the elevator, makes it stop, and goes in there, and he finds an entire floor where some sort of group of weird hippie philosophical peaceniks are living out, and he meets the leader, and he's talking about how the whole how things are the universe, and we're all part of the universe, and all this stuff. We'll get into that a little bit later. Of course, he wants to escape. He eventually takes the guy semi-hostage and tries to escape, but they find out there is an alien Zarg in there, who's kind of killing things, and I guess we find out has killed the maintenance officer. Garibaldi finds a way to jury rig some 38 rounds from his from the revolver that he has and kill the thing and somehow escape. And in the last part of the show, we see, of course, sorry, I should go back. Naroon's not happy with Delin taking over, but Lanier goes to Marcus and tells him that Delin is in danger, and Marcus, even though he is not as good of a ranger or fighter as Naroon, he challenges him. He faces off with him, gets the snot beat out of him, but in that seems to win some respect as Naroon shows up at the ceremony to invest Delin in as Ranger 1, and he agrees that she should be Ranger 1. He calls him. She calls her. What does he call her again? Whatever the
Intrazah.
Intrazah. That's the one. Yes. Yeah, and finally we end up. As I mentioned, Naroon, gives in. He says, okay, he's okay with Delin now based on what Marcus has done and what Marcus, the dedication shown to Delin. And of course, Garibaldi escapes somehow. And the last scene of the episode, he is seen talking to Sheridan, who's a little bit upset. Where have you been? You weren't at the ceremony. What were you doing? You're supposed to be doing security. And he says, oh, this is what happened to me. And he starts going through the whole story. So, then we'll talk about that. All right, and that's basically a slightly more detailed summary. Welcome to everybody, and I'll turn it over to you, Ken.
Okay, as my little note there indicates, I'm going to say that the A plot is actually the Ranger turnover and Delin storyline. The B plot is the Gray 17. Whatever that is, and then a kind of a tangential weak plot is the Franklin bit with Ivanova and trying to find telepaths. Anyone have any other thoughts on the structure there?
Well, remember Robert Englund guest stars in this as the crazy man in Gray 17.
Freddy Krueger.
I don't know who you're talking about.
He sure does.
Willie. His name
It's
is
Willie from V. Yeah.
Right, it's Willie. That's right. And Luke Skywalker's former roommate, as I understand it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, boy. I think everyone will have plenty of time to talk tonight because there's not a lot here. Let's talk about the Franklin and Ivanova scene here with the telepaths first. Just very briefly, they're they have the opening scene with the recruiting telepaths, which is this really unfunny bit, in my opinion, with Zach.
Yeah, that was kind of.
It's a little forced.
Harry Sanders.
A little. Yeah,
Mr. Harry Sanders. No, man. How much you paying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can learn.
Yeah, where was Dave Chappelle for the scene? You're like, hey, I need a little bit on here.
Yeah. And then, but they are talking about, there is an important story point there that they need telepaths because what they found out from the last episode regarding the shadow ships.
Confirmed.
And Ivanova and Sheridan are talking about it. And they, mentioned that Franklin might know about this a bit because of the Underground Railroad business that was from, earlier episodes.
Didn't we talk about that last week too? We suggested that. I think that topic came up that, hey,
I will assume someone did.
I think at some point somebody probably did. I
think I
wasn't
did.
here last week, but
Yeah.
Well, a note that I had here is that they said, "Oh, Franklin might be tough to find," which we already saw last week is absolutely not the case. He wasn't tough to find at all, at least for Garibaldi. But okay, so well, that's it. She finds him. She talks to him. Anyone?
I think we should bring up that his condition has
Yes.
shifted.
Yeah. Suddenly he is experiencing withdrawal symptoms, and they do make an attempt to explain why that the stims, stay in your system for a while, which I'm not sure that makes a ton of sense in terms of why you would keep taking stims if you're seeking the effect of them. That you know what I'm saying? Addiction. That's part of it. Is you feel a physical or mental need to keep taking them, and they
Well,
demonstrated that
he's
doesn't
going through
exist.
DT.
Well,
So
he now he is.
yeah,
A week later after stopping using them.
yeah.
I'm not an addiction specialist at all, but we noted last week that it was odd, right? That it's like, hey, he seems to be getting along just fine. But now they're catching up on that.
Maybe
And
somebody else said the same thing we did.
yeah.
He probably should be having some.
Oh yeah, we should think about that. Jason, let's start with you. Anything to say about this little Franklin bit? It's relatively
Well,
short here.
I think having dealt with this kind of a thing recently, it's not inconsistent where you will have somebody dealing with withdrawal at a later time, because depending on what it is, how much is in the system, how long they've been doing it, and some people can handle withdrawal a little bit better than others, and at some point stress and some other outside chaos agents type of thing will create an environment where the cravings kick in. Man, I really wish I had a drink right now. I really wish I had this, whatever it is that they've been using. And I think maybe some of that is here what we're dealing with Franklin. Now he's been doing the whole walkabout thing. he's been going, through the station trying to find himself or whatever. And that feels a little bit like not necessarily a religious thing, but with AA, there always there's a component there that acknowledges a higher power and whatnot. And it sounds a little bit like that, where it's, we have to basically recenter and reorient. But even if you're successful at doing that, anything from outside that causes stress and anxiety kicks off those cravings, and the withdrawal actually comes in as kind of a delayed reaction. And I think that's kind of what we're dealing with here with Franklin, is that he may be clean ish, he may not be using, but it's still in his system. There's some psychological tests, for example, that you have to wait a certain amount of time since you've been using in order for it to not, like testing for bipolar, for example. Your system has to be completely clean for that test to be accurate. So he's probably in that stage where something set him off, and
Maybe the girls.
It could be.
Yeah.
Well, Straczynski did put the words in his mouth. This is how it works. This is how these stims work.
Yeah.
So, at least they're, I don't know how stimulants work. I don't know any of it works, but in this world, these stimulants work this way. So that's, they establish that at least. Madman, you got any thoughts on this? Franklin is pretty short and snippy with Ivanova, seems
Yeah,
to
you
be
can see
dealing
that
with his own thing, obviously.
basically he's burning off on here, and you could see it. I don't know. It was how they must have used some detail on the makeup on there, because you could see like his around his eyes, his face, the way he looks in his face. It's could see that it's someone that is suffering right now to that point. And he's been taking stims, I think, way back to season 2. That's when it started. As we got into 3, you started to see him do more and more and more at that point, and then you started to see the aggression from him, and then finally realizing what he's doing, and then he starts to walk about, and now he's getting to the point the rejection that's coming next. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff. I've had family members that have gone through items like this, and I've seen documentaries and some films that tailored to this. Seeing it firsthand, something you really don't want to be seeing with somebody, but you got to help them, to that point. And the doc, resisting Urbano and telling him, "Don't come back here again." There was like, to that point, So, but
Yeah.
listen, what's next on this? We have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, typically that's again based on what I know, 12-step program kind of things is, it's important to have a support system, because it's not easy getting over these kinds of things, right? So, but Franklin's going on his own here.
And walking around the entire station, to find himself.
Yeah, I wonder if they use like glycerin spray or something like that to give him that kind of.
Well, he looked pale to me.
Look.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, because you don't want to use water, right? Because of the makeup to make him look pale like they did, right? So I'm thinking glycerin might be something that, because he did have that cold, clammy.
If you're doing sweat, or if you're doing any kind of thing like that, it's generally a mix of water and glycerin, or water and baby oil, something that'll make it bead on the skin, and it won't run too much. Yeah, I mean, you're going to get some of it, but as long as the makeup is applied proper, it should hold long enough to get the scene done.
Interesting you mentioned that, because later on Garibaldi's sweating up a storm in the Gray 17. Snob, you got any comments on this bit?
Yeah. First, let me say that hey, welcome. We've got one person watching in Rumble. Awesome. We barely ever have anybody in Rumble. Appreciate you coming by. If you want to go subscribe to the Rumble channel, trying to build it up as if you've been watching the YouTube world, people are getting struck and demonetized all over the place, it seems. So it's always good to build up a secondary channel. So I want to put a little more work on that. So if you want to go and sub to it and push it up a little bit, and
I think another 6 got hit today.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll always go to transmit to both anyway. So if you're a Rumble only, you can do that. Just on I found it interesting the way that Franklin was acting. He seems like, this kind of fits with his character. He seems like he's like somewhat a little bit embarrassed. He doesn't want her to see him like this. And that's the sense maybe it's my assumption. That's why he wants to get rid of her. He doesn't want her around. He doesn't want them to see him at this sort of weak point. I don't know if everyone else would agree with that or not, but that seems a very, fairly common type of, for certain, personality types. But he has that sort of like, the doctor, the godlike, wouldn't want people to see him as weak. So I kind of assume that's why he wanted to do that, even though we don't, his friends here on the station probably wouldn't judge him negatively because of it. But
I mean, I mentioned this before. Straczynski did talk about it in one of the whatever, where they were commentaries, and where he had a friend who was a doctor, and he had heard horror stories about doctors that are users, and he wanted to do this arc for to put that out. But so it's something that Straczynski personally wanted to put in there, this whole arc, and it's kind of hit and miss sometimes, I think. But I did find it interesting that he makes a deal with her. Well, he proposes a deal. I don't know that she necessarily agreed to it, because she kind of said, well, I'm not sure I can promise that, but he did as they suspected. They spelled it right out. He deleted all the files, off of his work
but
computer.
Not really.
But he's got a backup.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on his personal computer. Apparently he has his own separate computer. Did you notice the nod with the directory name that he gave it?
No, I forgot. What was it?
Harriet. I rewound it to make sure, because at first I thought I heard him say Harry, and then I'm like, that sounded too short. and it's named Harriet. Of course, you know who Harriet is, right?
Harriet
Underground
Tubman.
Railroad,
Yeah.
Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All right. So let's go. We have the scene. Unless anybody wants to go more into the Franklin.
I don't think there's anything else to go on.
Okay. Okay, Delenn. Let's do the Delenn, the beginning of the Delenn story at least. So she's on Minbar, and they're. It seems like she's searching for clues because they get Sinclair's personal effects, and she's talking to, I forget the character's name, the guy that was apparently the deputy ranger or chief or whatever, that Sinclair had talked to, and the Vorlon had talked to in World Without End Part 1. And they have this brief discussion where Delenn kind of assumes that he will be taking over, and like Snob mentioned, he's like, no, Delenn, you're the person for this, and she kind of protests as well. The Rangers are here, and he mentions that the Rangers are there because that's where Sinclair was. I think she
sorry
said,
to interrupt. It's Rathen.
Okay.
Ah, yes.
And I think she says to send his effects, have his effects sent back to his family on Earth.
Yes.
Right.
And he didn't have a whole lot there, but he had some of his insignia and medals and things like that. All right, let's see. Madman, you want to discuss this scene at all?
Yeah, this is pretty good. We're back on Minbar. It's great to see Minbar in the series.
That's twice now.
Because we don't get to see it that many times throughout here. I mean, we've seen a lot more with Narn, the Centauri, but Minbar is something that's just like, it's always kept
Mysterious.
minimum. Yeah, mysterious in this series. Seeing Delenn's action, when she takes it and she's looking at it, and she's saying, it's her feel. The look she has is, I've lost a friend, but I know that he's gone to do something very important for our people at that point, to that situation. And now she's, they're saying, well, we don't have Ranger 1 anymore. Maybe you should become Ranger 1 on that ceremony. And she kind of resists at first, but to that point, but she'd have to take on, because remember what Zathra said, to the point, going back to War Without End, is that you are the one that is, and you are the one that will be. And he pointed to Delenn and said, you are the one that right now, to that point.
Yep.
So I believe she, in her mind, she remembered that and says, Zathras had said this, so I'm gonna have to take that step, that that important part, and become Ranger 1.
Yeah, that definitely crossed my mind too. When she decided to accept it, I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. So she's the one right now, and at some point in the future, I guess, I guess Sheridan will become, the one that will be.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but I have to say, one thing about this part of the storyline is that I love they brought back Naroon. Naroon has been with us since at least a little episode here and there, all the way back to season 1. I always liked his character, and I wish they did a lot more with him. I mean, they did a lot with him on there, but I wish he had more scenes in this series, because he had to be a very interesting character of the warrior cast. And we go back to season 1 where he's with Sinclair and he says, "You speak like a Minbari," telling Sinclair that you're back on the first season, and then you've seen him a couple of times here and there. But I would love to see more of him.
Yeah, he's kind of that villain that it would be nice to pop up a little more frequently during the series. I mean, when did we first see him? Was that during the funeral, or that procession where they were?
Where they brought the other war leader. Yeah, I think so. Jason, anything about this kind of initial setup scene here with Delenn and the Ranger?
Well, it's consistent with the frustration that the warrior class has had in the past with her. basically taking it upon herself because there's a prophecy, and so I'm going to go through this chrysalis transformation, transmogrification. Oh, how dare you change things up and cause all these problems? She is the thorn in the side of the warrior caste, and Nirun is the personification of that.
Sure.
But I also like the fact that he's not just mustache twirling villain, wahaha. There's a certain level of respect that he has for her, and we see that later after his fight with Marcus. Is like, okay, there must be something here for these aliens to be fighting for you so badly. So, maybe this is the beginning of an arc. Maybe it's just one of these things where he's going to be kind of like, between Cisco and Gul Dukat, where it's like, yeah, we're gonna respect each other. We're gonna respect each other's abilities, but I don't have to like you, and I don't have to do anything to help you. I'm gonna watch you fall. I'm gonna stand back over here, and I'm gonna watch you fall. I'm gonna watch you fail, and then I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna say, "I told you so."
Since we've got kind of a thin episode, let's talk about what you mentioned there a little bit.
Gul Dukat?
No, no, but I thank you for the obligatory Star Trek reference. Hey,
wouldn't be a show with Jason.
well, no, we got to have one at least, right?
Yeah.
But so you rightfully mentioned that the Warriors seem to have a problem with the religious caste in general. There's tension between them, and Delenn, is very hot on this whole thing, and it goes back to the very origin of the show with the Earth Minbari War, right? And why it was stopped and everything. The religious caste people basically stopped it. But it's like, well, you mentioned that the Delenn is in the way of them, but my question is, in the way of them doing what? They don't seem to have any particular purpose or anything. And in fact, they're these prophecies and everything. Obviously, it makes sense that the religious caste would be most interested in them being prophecies, but it it is really throughout their entire society. And there is a massive war going on, and they know about the shadows and the history and fighting and opposing them. And the warrior caste has basically laid down their duty and isn't doing it. So, my question is, well, getting in the way of them doing nothing, it's, I'm not disagreeing with you because that's the way that they're portraying them, but I'm questioning the overall story. What exactly are their ambitions? They always accuse Delenn of being ambitious, right?
Yeah. I'm wondering if the warrior caste, so you still have the Minbari still understand that the Shadow War has to be fought, and it's going to be coming at some point. But like Delenn points out, she looks at Nirun. She's like, you guys, everybody has known that this was coming, and y'all didn't want to do anything. You want to just tuck your tail between your legs and stick your head in the sand and ignore this problem. La 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 la. Well, it's here right now. We're gonna have to do something about it, and I'm not gonna sit here and wait for you guys to finally decide what. Sternly worded letters only go so far, right? It's time to step up and actually take some action. Maybe at some point, and I haven't, some of you that have seen the rest of the series, maybe the warrior caste actually does get involved in this thing with the Shadow War and said, okay, well, we've been dragged into it. Delenn's kind of forced our hand, and the warrior caste actually jumps in. Kind of like when, Cisco brings the Romulans in, and he's like, I'm going to do whatever I can to win this war. And Delenn's probably in that same mindset where she's like, I may end up having to compromise my principles, but the shadows are not going to win, and you're not going to stand in my way. So
I think Nehruun could turn out to be, a great assistance in the future. And as we get to that later on point where he finally concedes, but it's kind of interesting. I do like the comparison. He is a great adversary or rival, I think.
I think adversary is a better word.
Yeah, he's not truly he's not truly an enemy per se. He doesn't like the humans, obviously. I mean, he brags about killing 50,000 all the time. You know, so what's one more, right?
Yeah.
But it is.
Snob, anything on this setup or the tangent we had here?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I like Naroon. He's a great character. I'm like Jeff and Jason. I don't know what's coming in the future. I'm kind of hoping that we see more of Naroon because of that. I'm kind of more interested in the aspect, which is probably going to go to next, is Lanier and Delin and their interaction and Lanier's actions after I think that's a little more interesting of the area. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I like Naroon. He's good.
Yeah,
I don't have
understand
anything else to add.
understand at this point, when you're realizing this, that the Great Council is gone. There is no
Well,
Great Council,
Right.
and that basically, before they were disbanded, it was the Warrior Cast had taken over a good chunk of it, and now they're disbanded. What is going to happen now? Because basically, the Great Council was the one that kept Mimbar in order. Right now, there's nothing really going on. We've seen this whole situation. Ranger One being seated. The land and all that. But now with Naroon and everything in this episode, what is going to come forward after this? Between the cat, all the casts.
Well,
There
It
is
is
no control.
It is kind of interesting that Naroon wants to make sure that the Lin doesn't have too much power, but he's got nothing that he's going to do with that
Well,
power. He doesn't.
Well,
seem
he
like
says
he's
it
gonna-
should be a warrior cast.
yeah,
that
but
should be Ranger
he
One.
but like we mentioned, like Cam said, the war cast have said, no, we're not going to fight this war. They've kind of rejected it, even though it's their job, and even though they know it's coming, everyone knows about this.
It
So
seems to be
what's the
like
deal?
I don't want to do anything, but I don't want you to do anything either. It's inherently
Yes.
trying to control. Not to mention that he already orchestrated the imbalance of the Great Council by putting 4 warriors on it. So all this talk of ambition and everything rings false because he's the one that's actually taken these steps.
Well, and she pointed that out to him.
Outpost Nerd says that the Warriors took 1 seat from each of the others, from the workers, and I thought it was only. I'm not sure if that's true.
4.
I thought they took 1 from the.
I think they just
religious and there was 4, but
it's debated. It's debated.
It's debated.
Yeah,
because there was no leadership. There was no main leadership because Delenn was supposed to be the replacement.
Yeah.
After
Well,
the leader died during
did they take
during
1
the
from
war.
each, or did they just took Delenn's spot?
Well, it's also Delenn's spot is included in that, but it's technically they grabbed, 5. He's right. They grabbed 5 seats.
5 total.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did they?
I didn't know that. I thought it was 4.
No,
they only have 4. They only have 4.
Yeah.
It was 4-2-3, I believe.
Yes.
Meaning that it was just
Because
shifting one from religious to warrior.
They replaced her with a warrior.
Right.
Well, with Naroon.
That's what I
Outside
thought.
balance. Yeah.
So it's
That's
out of
fine.
balance because they replaced her with somebody from the warrior cast.
Yeah. You can go down a rabbit hole trying to look up what's the exact breakup is or makeup is of the Grey Council after Delenn is ousted. I did that once, and it was like, well, some people argue that it's 5, and some people say it's 4, and there's no definitive,
Well,
that's interesting because I didn't know it was I thought it was cut and dried, but it's that issue. That's interesting. Okay.
We know the balance is upset though, and Naroon himself points out that the Grey Council was created by Valen. Well, we know who Valen is now, so it's kind of a it's already full circle now, and so the Grey Council is dissolved because what? Because the Shadow War has begun. What I mean, I think she kind of said that it's dissolved at this
Well,
point. But
yeah, I mean, Neroon also said that he acknowledged it. Like she disbanded it.
Yeah.
He's not even disputing that. It seems.
yeah,
Well,
Um,
Valen predicted it, so obviously, because the
Right.
situation.
Well,
Right.
and the other important thing is there is no more prophecy, right? Because we know where it came from. Well, at least not from Valen.
Right.
There is no more Valen-based prophecy because, well, we know why. Okay, Snob, you mentioned going into the rest of the thing. Let's just continue on with this storyline. Jason mentioned a few things with it, but after Naroon does come and makes these threats to Delenn that you mentioned, and then Lanier comes upon the scene, and then Naroon ninjas out of there. But then she discusses it with
Pulls a
him,
Batman.
right. And Lanier kind of in Lanier-ish way freaks out about this. He's very upset for a Minbari, claiming that he's going to kill her and so on and so forth. And then she makes him promise to not tell Sheridan about this. And she doesn't seem to. Either she's just putting on a brave face, or she doesn't seem to believe that Naroon will actually try to kill her.
Well, and they it's pointed out that she even says to him, no Minbari has killed another Minbari in 1,000 years, right?
Right.
And Lanier correctly points out that was when the Great Council was still in order. Now, who knows? Basically, all bets are off at this point. And we learn we learn Neroon's intentions pretty quickly.
Mhm.
So
Well, I believe, like, watching that scene between Naroon and Delenn, when he says, he like pauses and he says, "by any means necessary." I mean, it seems like a veiled threat, and it does
Mhm.
seem reasonable that he might break that 1,000-year rule. Like when I watched it, I believe that it's a possibility. Yeah. I mean,
See how that
went. No, it seemed reasonable to me. I don't think that. I mean, Delenn seems a little bit. Does she not want Sheridan to know because she figures Sheridan might try to white knight for her or something? Is that why my new boyfriend might get in the way and get himself killed or something?
could be, yeah. I mean,
Well,
Because she's like,
part of it
it'll be
too,
fine.
it's internal politics too, and that
she
may
says that specifically.
factor into some of it as well, because as much as she's willing to open up and have discussions of topics that maybe she might not ought to be talking out of turn with other people, there's still some privacy concerns with things that are going on in the Minbari politics. And Sheridan, being Sheridan, is bullheaded enough to just, waltz in there and start causing problems. And yeah, she doesn't want him to get hurt because of their relationship. But I think also there are some political ramifications, especially given that the station has declared independence. If he ends up antagonizing the Minbari, what's left of the Minbari government, that could add complications to what Delenn's trying to do.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they are kind of dependent on the Minbari for protection to some degree.
Yeah.
Here. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
a fragile alliance overall. Let me ask you guys.
Okay, but
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, but there's a little problem. Okay, so I see a problem with. Delenn's kind of like, she seems to be like, it probably won't happen, but
Dismissive.
maybe
Yeah.
she's right, but Naroon's come to her and he's basically he called her a zealot. He's basically implied that she's trying to take over the government, almost like a coup, because the religious caste should not have military power, and he's made a convincing show that he might break this 1,000-year-old rule, and then she says that, well, if he was to do that, or Linear says that later, or somebody anyway, that if Naroon were to kill Delin, that could precipitate a civil
Minbari
war
civil
among the
war, yeah.
Minbari. Now, how would a civil war in the Minbari help the war with the Shadows? I mean, that could be the perfect way to basically
what they want,
turn,
exactly what the
turn
Shadows
the
want.
tides, and everything would be over with.
Yep.
So, I mean, the chance that Naroon might kill Delin seems like if he does decide to do that, it might be a low chance, but if it happens, it's catastrophic to the entire war, and maybe the whole the war is going to be lost. So I think she should take it a little more seriously.
I like how Naroon he put it to the point that it's the three castes. He says, workers build, religious preach, and the warrior caste fight.
Mm-hmm. If only they were, right?
If only they were.
That's the sticking point. Outpost Nerd brings up a good point. He says if Sheridan, aka Starkiller, went at someone from the warrior caste, it'd be a big problem. Yeah, they're the warrior cast is kind of looking for an excuse, right? From what we've seen.
Just give us a reason.
Right.
Still looking for an excuse.
I think it's reasonable. Let me ask you guys a question, and then you can comment on any other part of this too.
It's reasonable to keep Sheridan out of going after Naroon, but just allowing Naroon to just if he feels like
but that's not what she said. She just said to keep Sheridan, not tell Sheridan.
Yeah,
that was her order.
All right,
she didn't say anything else.
All right.
So Naroon makes this accusation that it's about her being ambitious, and you have a religious zealot, obviously someone who is who has a history of doing things due to prophecy. We need to stop this war because of prophecy that is tricky to interpret, right? She's doing what she's doing now based on that same prophecy. She breaks the Great Council. She is in charge of military forces. So, I mean, on paper, he has a pretty solid argument here. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah,
Jeff? Agree.
Yeah, I mean, he has a point, and I think what we're going to have to see is Naroon kind of acknowledge that point and go, look, this is something bigger, and
and we will, of course.
Well, remember to this point, the Great Council is holding most of the secrets. Now, Naroon has joined the Great Council, but hasn't had enough time to find out the truth. That's why he doesn't know the truth about Valen, doesn't know the truth about why the war was stopped back in the beginning. To that point, the warrior caste have been left out in the lurch to the point that they haven't been given all the information.
Mm-hmm.
And it was said throughout the series, every time a warrior cast member says, "Oh, it's always the Great Council holding back from us all the time."
Well, so do you agree that Naroon has a point from his perspective, at least?
From his perspective, yes.
Okay, Jason.
Yeah, he does have a point, which makes it even more, which to me strengthens the chance that he actually might think about killing Delin.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think though he's had enough time since all of this happened. He's had enough time to get brought up to speed on certain things. I mean, really, how long has he been there?
3 weeks.
Well,
has it only been 3 weeks?
It's been months since.
He's had time to be briefed on the important things at least.
Well, but the stuff with Sinclair though and Valen, that's just come up, and I'm not sure that they've shared that with anybody. Delenn knows it, and the Ranger guys knows it because they got these letters. But I don't think they
the Great Council know it.
No, I don't. I have no reason to believe they did.
And maybe it's the religious caste that was holding this information from the other castes.
Well, because I mean, remember, Delenn said something like, "I just got this information herself." This was, and I think that was referring to the larger Sinclair issue.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Great Council knew themselves.
Well, the information was passed to Delenn through Ducat. We already know that from early on.
Which information?
The leader that was killed during the war.
No. I know who Ducat is. I'm saying, what's the information?
The souls of humans.
The souls of humans. The situation
right
on there,
but,
and then later on, she got the little box with the letter in it.
What I'm saying is that they did. I don't believe that that this whole thing about the human souls and everything, that's a mystery that they believe, but they don't know why. And the whole thing about Sinclair being Valen is brand new information that I don't think anyone had.
If I recall correctly, when she briefed everybody on the time travel and Babylon 4 being taken back 1,000 years, I want to say somewhere in that briefing, she said that some of this information had just come to her, but I can't remember where she said it came from.
Epsilon 3.
It came or from
Great
that
Machine,
letter
yeah.
that she got.
Yeah, the letter and Epsilon 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's the question is, but I mean, nobody knows that Sinclair is going to go back and become Valen until he actually goes back in, like where he's standing on Babylon 4 and he says, no, I have to go back. And that's the only time where they suspect that maybe he'll become Valen, right? When they're talking with Zathras and all that, that sort of stuff, right?
Sinclair knew that by the time because he got his own letter.
Right.
Incidentally, okay. Man, blinked out for a second for me there.
Yeah, I just lost for a second.
Okay, so do you guys want to go into the whole business with Lanier and his dealings with Marcus?
Yeah.
Okay. I just briefly, obviously Lanier, as I mentioned, is real worried about all this, and he's got this conundrum because he was sworn to secrecy. So as we find out, Minbari don't lie except for when they kind of want to or need to. They can.
They don't lie. They just obfuscate the truth sometimes.
Right. So Lanier he figures, okay, how do I get through this? And going to Marcus is the way to do it. And Marcus is basically like, yep, I'm in, let me handle it, kind of thing. And
I love how Marcus put this in. Can I just put this in his words? Sure. He says, I'm in awe, Lanier, that the way you can take straightforward logic proposition and turn it inside out so that in the end it says what you wanted to say instead of what you actually it means. Did this come naturally, or did you attend some special martial arts class for this philosophically inclined?
Yeah, that was a great line.
Yeah, and he's kind of joking, right? And Lanier slaps him down, is like, bring, she's gonna be killed, and then Marcus gets serious, at that point. Jeff, what do you think about this whole this setup with getting Marcus involved and all?
I mean, I think it was kind of telegraphed from the beginning that I knew the minute that I saw, her say, you cannot tell, cannot tell Sheridan. I'm like, okay, that means he's going to Marcus. And of course, Garibaldi is conveniently otherwise occupied, right? So I kind of knew it that he was going to pull that because we've kind of seen him do something of this magnitude before, gone through these logic motions to try and justify because the ends justify the means, I guess, in a way. So I kind of knew that that's where he was going to go to. And I think that was probably the right choice anyways. You can't risk Sheridan at this point. Sheridan has a bigger destiny, So.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Jason, any thoughts on this with the setup with Marcus?
Well, it's nice to see he's got something to do. The character has not really had very. He's a functional character. He's there when the story needs him to be there. I don't get a sense that he's actually important, except when he needs to deliver a bit of exposition, or he's got to come to the rescue with a fight or something. But he's not
He's underutilized, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think the Rangers are underutilized in general.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I agree. But him being part of he's a regular. He's in the title sequence, and he doesn't do very much.
Well, this wouldn't be the first time Straczynski had that problem.
That's true. That's true. And it has me wondering whose idea it was to put him in there.
It was Straczynski's, I believe. Because we know he did not like the character of Kefir.
Yeah.
And as soon as he had the opportunity, he offed him.
Right.
but I think Cam, you pointed this out previously, right? That the irony was Marcus is very much that similar kind of character, and so he just traded out one that was forced upon him by the studio with one that he came up with on his own volition.
Did I say that? That would have been very insightful. I'm glad you credited me with that.
You did. I believe it was you that said that. So,
well, I very well may have. Madman, what do you think about this thing with Marcus?
Well, yeah, Jason's right. He is underutilized at this moment. The things I enjoy with him is just when he throws that quick wit at everybody when he tries to explain something, or basically someone asks him a question and he throws back the answer, but it gives another question on top of that. But yeah, he's underutilized at this point. I'm glad on this episode he has a little bit more than what he normally goes through.
Yeah,
so far.
Stop.
Yeah, I mean, you guys make good points, but I do like this. I do like the scene. The Marcus is sort of, taking Lanier to task. Oh, you can Minbari just do, and it's kind of, it is, yeah, it's a bit of a dig maybe at the show, because Lanier is doing that exact thing, and maybe is the writer also making a dig at himself, saying, I'm going to make things happen the way I want them to happen, and I'll just, is there something of that going on? A little bit of nod and a wink there, perhaps?
Well, Marcus has already had a bit of a taste of pissing off Lanier, if you remember back when Delenn was kidnapped, and Lanier just like went all off on Marcus.
Yeah, a little Minbari supremacy attitude he had there.
Yeah, I like the whole scene between the two of them. It just brings a little bit more of their character out, and it gives an interesting little us a little look into him, with Lanier doing whatever he wants to help his secret crushed girlfriend there that he's in love with, Delenn, and Marcus sort of cutting right to the bone as to what's been sort of what's going on.
Well, let me interject. Or ask a question here is, I mean, would it not be, it's no secret, Delenn is to be Entelza, right? Would it not be the duty of all the Rangers to defend her at that point? There are other Rangers around, which I think we saw at the ceremony. So, this seems like a bit of a, yes, we do need to get Marcus something to do. So we're going to do that.
Well, they need to be at this ceremony, right? So I mean, it's even pointed out. Where's Marcus?
I guess. Well, okay, so they do have this ceremony. Marcus does go to, intercept Neroon.
Yeah.
I'll just briefly, I like how they made the point that Neroon isn't just some blathering politician. He is a warrior, and that does mean something. And Marcus's bit is that he challenges him. Obviously Marcus knows a little bit about Minbari culture, so he challenges him to a duel to the death. And Neroon's like, multiple times, Neroon basically has the advantage on him, right? In this fight, they kind of portray that.
Mm-hmm.
And they mentioned that he's personally killed 50,000 humans.
What's one more?
Yeah, right. What's one more? And that he doesn't really have a problem with this. But what do you guys think about the fight? Let's start with Snob for once.
Here we go.
Relatively good fight scene for Babylon 5. I mean, fairly well choreographed. I think maybe we talk. You kind of brought up, you were touching on, why Marcus. There's other Rangers, but Marcus is probably one of the better Rangers from the human side, and I think it's, here's the question: if Lanier knows this or not, if Marcus knows this or not, the fact that we have, I think the fact that it's a human who challenges Naroon and defends Delin is very important to the end of the situation. And if it was another Minbari, it might not have gone that way, because that's what convinces Naroon that, okay, maybe I should respect her as well, because if these stupid humans are willing to die for her, then maybe there's something going on. Maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. So it's not clear to me in the scenes that Lanier and Marcus know this. There's no nod, wink, wink between them. But Lanier lays it out, and Marcus says, "Yeah, I know exactly what to do." So maybe there is.
Well, I mean, it is pointed out, that if no Minbari has done this, I mean, I already mentioned it earlier that no Minbari has killed another previously, and so
That's a good point.
If one of the Minbari Rangers had come to this challenge, it could cause the same kind of situation as if Naroon had taken Delin out. I mean, it would be, it would, you know what I mean? It would be somebody kind of from the religious caste.
That brings up a good point, though. It's like, why is there a duel to the death in Minbari society when they don't kill each other?
That is true.
Well, it could be a holdover from before Valand or something.
It's a ceremonial. It's called Den Shah. To the
but
death.
It was a duel to the death. Yeah, maybe it's figurative death of the reputation.
Well, you have to also remember, Naroon kind of like was impressed with Marcus's style, and he's like, I was. And of course, Naroon says, "I've been trained by this." I forgot the person that did it. He says, and Marcus turns around and says, "So was I."
Right.
So they were both trained by the same master.
Yeah. Well, and let's, Madman, I'll let you go on here. Let's open this up for the whole rest of this storyline, the ceremony in Naroon and the aftermath. Go ahead and talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's you get to the point on to this, I have my notes up here on the, and Naroon's really beating on him to the point on this, and then Naroon kind of starts playing with him like a cat on a mouse. He's like, I've broken just 2 of your ribs, and he says, "Oh, sorry, make that 3." To that point. But Marcus just kept coming back on it, and he goes, like the line he puts up: "I am a ranger. We walk in dark places, no other may enter. We stand on the bridge, and no one may pass. We live for the one, we die for the one.
You shall not pass." It came to my mind immediately when he said that.
Yeah.
Well, and
that was in my head too.
Well, and when he says we live for the one, we die for the one, that goes back to Zathrix. You're the one, you're the one, you're the one.
Right.
And there's a connection there too.
Yeah.
And the other line in that, it's like, why all this pride? Duty? You've been trained well, but you must have known you couldn't win, so why do it? For her, we live for the one, we die for the one. Inslaza Sundi in Valen's name.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, the range. I like the contrast between the Rangers and the Warrior cast, even that they're not exactly the same, even though they have a lot of the same training and everything. They're more.
Uh-oh.
Yam got Yam.
Okay. Hello.
There he is.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think the Rangers are a cool concept. That they're this. They are different from the Warrior cast, even though they have a lot of this shared traditions and things, obviously, that Marcus is displaying here.
Yeah.
Jason, what do you think?
Well, it gives Marcus something to do. It gives him a purpose, and I do think there's a, not necessarily an archetype. There's a stereotype. You see this in stories where your villain, your antagonist, your adversary, the good guy stands up to him and earns the respect of the bad guy, even though they're at odds with each other. So I can appreciate your skill, but I'm still going to kill you. That sort of thing. And at least Marcus holds his own to a certain extent. But when Naroon shows up at the ceremony, he's got blood on his staff. The first thing is, okay, Marcus is dead.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to assume that Marcus is dead, but then
Yeah, and Delenn doesn't know what's going on with that necessarily.
No,
Lanier does.
I mean, he shows up with blood, and you see Lanier is like, "Oh crap!"
Yeah.
He starts fidgeting in the back, and you know that Lanier is going, "Oh, I got to go find Marcus. I got to go find Marcus."
But
but-
Naroon has a great line here.
Yeah.
And it says, "There is now blood between us, and there's blood between the warrior caste and the humans. I do not think they would die for me, but would they die for you, Enthrazah?"
Yeah, Naroon was forced into a bit of a revelation here
Yeah.
for himself, which I thought was very good for his character development, right? He was against this, and it's also good for Marcus because Marcus, being beat like a circus monkey, here really, it's like Marcus knew the thing that would get through to him. He really he understood the situation. And like when he said to Lanier, he's like, "I got this,"
Right.
So I actually quite like that whole setup and how it played out.
What about the speech in the Medland?
No, that was between Marcus and
Naroon.
because obviously, I mean, we kind of skipped over. Lanier did go find him, and next thing we know, he's in Med Bay, and of course, Delenn is there. And they were pretty much done with the ceremony. Naroon threw down his staff, and made that little.
But he says to Marcus, and Marcus is unconscious. "Then Shah, you said, to the death, and death there was. The death was mine to see a human invoke the name of Valen, to be willing to die for one of my kind when I was intended of killing one of my own. The righteous of my cause disappear. Strange that a human in his last moments will be more Minbari than I. Perhaps it is true what Delenn said, that we are not of the same blood, but we are of the same heart."
Yeah.
But then Marcus brings up, the next time you want a revelation, you could possibly find a way that isn't quite so uncomfortable.
Yeah, and then of course, Delenn and Lanier are outside, and they hear Naroon laughing.
Yeah,
which is
odd,
right?
Naroon with that line, I mean, basically he lays out, his revelation, which I thought was very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Snot, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I like Naroon's speech. I felt the whole, hey, the part, hey, can you find, maybe you could, get that revelation before you beat the crap out of me. That was a little bit glib and a little bit.
It's so Marcus.
Obvious. But Naroon's speech was great. I mean,
yeah.
that is some great writing there and, well delivered. And I am, the laughing afterwards that Naroon does to sort of bring them together. I mean, I think that's good too. But great speech overall. Well written and well delivered. Best one in Babylon 5, maybe so far. I don't know. It's definitely up there from my view, but
it was definitely well placed and very fitting of the scene and the situation, for that matter. But it kind of gives you that glimmer of optimistic hope that maybe now the warrior caste will rise up to the challenge. And I think, and this is, of course, I haven't seen the rest of the series, but I could foresee Naroon taking charge of the warrior caste and bringing them to this, to the shadow, under his leadership. And I think Delenn would be smart to say, you are the leader of the warrior caste, and we need you, kind of putting him, your place of importance is there, pointing that out to him. So I could see a future episode where we do see Nehruin, maybe bringing the cavalry, as it were.
Yeah, possibly. He may still be reluctant, but I think it's going to be easier to convince him if there's a situation where he has to be convinced to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe Delenn would be wise to confide in him on some of the information that she knows, and say, look, we are Minbari and we need to trust one another, and we can't do this without your help,
Maybe.
So.
Madman, anything else on this part?
No, I think we got it.
Okay. Stop it. Nothing else?
No, that's good.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go to the very exciting not a plot of Gray 17.
The best part of the whole
Oh
episode.
boy.
Yeah. We saw, I'll just run through it briefly. Snob, you mentioned, the worker that was, I think, in Gray 16, who, got dragged in, and then the scene with Garibaldi and Zach and his 38 revolver, which was, it gives you a little bit, I guess, about the background of it. And, Garibaldi kind of elaborates on, on Earth, they still use these for, whatever, target practice or, security and things. Even though Earth Force has gone completely with PPGs.
Right.
And mentions that his great grandmother, I think he said, was
so.
a Boston,
Yeah.
in Boston PD.
Yep.
And then, which is funny
please
because
tell me why Zach had to take the gun and go pew 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 pew.
Yeah, I guess it's a a toy to them at that point, but it's kind of odd because I think there would be very few people that would be very few cops that would be carrying a revolver these days. I guess there might be some, but
he said security people on Earth.
I understand. I'm saying this particular one was from his grandmother, great grandmother, or whatever.
Great grandmother, yeah.
Meaning would have been our modern day maybe. That's a very minor issue. Nitpick that not even relevant to the story, but okay.
I mean, it is to this plot though.
Why?
Because of how he.
I'm saying a revolver versus a.
Right.
But
What Zach says is, he's like, do they even make ammunition for those things anymore? And he's like, yeah, not as much as they used to, but you could still get it. And he's got a handful of 38s.
Yeah, I was making a point of a cop. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. So they have that little scene. Zach fills him in, and Garibaldi decides he's going to investigate it himself. He goes down there. He does the elevator trick that Snob mentioned. He finds the weirdos. He talks to the weirdos, and then they have this alien encounter where he unrealistically uses these slugs, these cartridges to make a makeshift
from
gun.
a steam pipe,
and they fire sequentially. What did you say, Sam? What?
I guess Garibaldi didn't have any bamboo.
Or his.
That was straight out of Arena, and I'm like, how does that work exactly?
How does a steam fire a bullet?
What did he do? Yeah,
it wouldn't.
It's.
I think the idea.
I saw that. I was like, "What is going on there?" And I just shook my head.
Okay, sure. Do you want to talk about that? It's a people. This is depicted widely in media, right? That a box of bullets in a fire blows up and starts shooting bullets everywhere, right? Well, that's not what would typically happen because there's no pressure. It would just kind of go pop and there is a such thing as cooking off ammunition, right? If it's extremely hot.
I have to bring this up because there is a scene, which is a ridiculous scene, from Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owen. Where Clive Owen has 4 bullets between his fingers, and he holds it against the fire and it just shoots out of his hand.
Okay, this is a great ignorance of how firearms work, right?
That's exactly what. Yes, I said. Straczynski's never fired a gun before, has he?
Yeah, this is okay. So
he doesn't know how they work either.
Right, right. I mean that would not well, and it not only let's say he put one in there and it cooked off and fired. If it was a tight enough fit somehow, maybe it would go out of there with some velocity, but it wasn't a tight fit. He just kind of rolled the thing, dropped the things down there, multiples. But them cooking off sequentially and firing was absolute idiocy. It would have, if the one at the base would have cooked off, it would have hit the one in front of it and either kind of just, shuffled out of there or, whatever, but it certainly wouldn't be firing in that manner.
Or exploded the whole pipe in his hand.
Right, if it jammed or something.
But answer me this. Okay, you had this creature living on the real Gray 17.
Mhm.
This is the second time we've had a destructive creature on Babylon 5 without anybody knowing. I mean, you go back to season 1, episode 15, the Nathleen.
Yeah.
The one that was pretending to be Kosh.
Mm.
That Londo was afraid of. That he was like, "Is it still here? Is it?" He goes,
Yeah.
"No, it
This
gets
was a
very
Zarg,
quiet."
by the way. This was called a Zarg.
This one was a Zarg. The other one was Nathleen. A Nathleen.
This entire thing with yes, there's a level missing that no one ever was able to discern, and that there's weirdos living there, and that there's a creature there. All of this was moronic, in my opinion. I am embarrassed to even talk about it.
Wasn't he talking to like somebody from like the engineering department?
Yeah, like building maintenance.
How does somebody from the engineering department say, "No, I've counted them myself. There's only 29 levels."
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
care
it's
what
like
the schematic. It's like, really? They don't have any kind of tubes that is
Jeffrey's
anyway.
tubes.
I was gonna. That's exactly. I was gonna. I was getting ready to preface it with.
See, the thing is,
Right.
even in current year stuff, if you're between floors, there are access ways. There's you've got drop ceilings, and all of these different. There's all sorts of nooks and crannies and places where you can get into things between levels. There is no way. I'm with Cam. There's no way that an entire floor can just go missing off the schematics.
Right.
Yeah. Well, not to mention there was all kinds of crap in there, equipment, broken stuff. It's like,
where did it all come from?
How did they, did they mention how they got in there?
No.
Okay.
Did they mention how they get out of there? No.
No.
I can buy that you could maybe jury rig an elevator so it wouldn't stop on the floor, and people could be tricked to thinking that that floor didn't exist. But
where do
I
they
can't
get
believe
their supplies?
Maintenance wouldn't know about it.
Yeah.
Well,
where do they get their food? Where do they get their water?
They did mention that. They did mention that.
Is the air circulating in that section? If nobody knows that it's there, does any of the maintenance equipment work in there? Is life? How could life support be on if that section doesn't? There are all sorts of logic bombs that could just.
You're right. They did mention that. We tapped into the recycling thing or whatever, but then that brings up just another question of, then there's no indication of that in any of the ship's systems, that there's things not to the volume you would expect. It's and it's just like, we're just going to kind of tap in and have food and water that's usable from some random point.
Hey, Fred, I got an indicator here that there's a power drain in a section of the ship that there's nothing there. There's nothing in this section of the ship. What is here on this level here? That's
No, back with Kosh, when Kosh was like powering up a bit on there, they picked it up. They picked it up in CNC.
Yeah,
and also notice that there apparently is two levels that say level 17.
Gray 17, yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's like, that would not happen either.
Right. I'm assuming that somebody went and changed them all, but that would be pretty tough.
That would be right, because there's like
everyone.
The thing about it is, though, that would indicate just the way, because the engineer that he's talking to, I went through and I counted them all myself. There's only 29, not 30. and there's stuff in there and the signage has changed, that would mean that this group of people, vagrants or homeless or whatever, have been in there since before the station was built and changed everything, not only changed the signage, but also changed the schematics.
Yeah.
And you have
Well,
all of
they
the
didn't-
engineers, none of the engineers figured it out.
Well, they haven't
Just
changed the
hypothetical.
schematics because Garibaldi says there's 30 on the schematics.
Yeah.
But
Well,
she just says
that's
it's
okay.
wrong. But
I mean,
yeah.
this is a
But
plot
nobody's-
hole that you could run a subway
Well-
train
well-
through.
Yeah, and for what reason? Why
well,
was this?
And
plot
why is this
in
the A
my
plot?
question is that the Willie there suggests that he seems to suggest that when you've reached a certain level of philosophical enlightenment, you move on and you go and feed yourself to the Zarg, right? Like that's what
Jeremiah.
yeah, that's what he kind of suggests,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, how do they replace all the guys that are being fed to the Zarg? How
Yeah.
long has the Zarg been there? How often does it eat? Like, I mean, have people been going missing on the station for the past couple years, and everyone's like, "Ah, well, whatever." Everybody seems to go missing around Gray 17. No, who cares? I mean,
Yeah, this is it might be the worst subplot that I can think of, and that the episode was named after it. It's
That's
really-
the
I
irony.
warned ya.
Because otherwise the episode is great.
Yeah.
But that one, why would you name it after that one? After that
And
plot?
they could have done so much more to the other plot line with the Minbari, and just skipped over this completely.
well, does this matter at all? Are we going to see these
No.
philosophical guys do something later
I doubt
on
it.
that's
You know-
important? I doubt it. They're a bunch of peaceniks.
What I first thought they were, and
What's
what
the
may
point
have-
of it at all?
when I first saw them, I'm like, I literally wrote down, oh, are these the techno mages? Maybe some techno mages that are concealed, because those that
Quite
would
the
have made more
opposite.
sense. But these are like the opposite. Yeah, these are like crazy people.
And then we have the doll from they're trying to do like Saw or something like there, and he's like, "You shouldn't be here."
Yeah,
That
I
was
didn't-
before- it was
I don't know.
before Saw, wasn't it?
really
What's
weird.
that
The
about?
whole thing was weird. Well,
Yeah,
and
it
That's
the other
way
thing,
before Saw.
if
I
you're
think-
going
yeah.
if you're going to have a title of an episode called Gray 13 has gone missing, that either it implies that there's a mystery to be investigated,
Yeah.
but how do you do that? Now the writer in me sits there and goes, okay, well, maybe there's hypnotism involved, there's memory wipes involved, something that Gray 17. If some people sit there go, well, I know there's a level Gray 17. Have you ever been there? No. Has anybody ever been there? No. Where is
Well, right. Wouldn't it have been nice if there was it had some relevance to something?
Yeah.
That's why I thought maybe it was the techno mages, because that would have seemed they would have been ones that would have been capable of pulling off.
No, they would have made it an illusion that basically you wouldn't find Gray
But-
17.
But what I'm saying is they would have been the ones that could have pulled this off, right? These
Not
crazy
like
people,
this.
these crazy people could not have pulled it off.
Or what you do, like a lot of high rises, they don't have a 13th floor on the elevator.
Oh, I was going
What you
to
could
mention
do
that.
is, I'm looking at this thing, and we have incidents. Security gets reports of incidents in Gray 16, Gray 15, Gray 18. Hey, wait a minute, why aren't we getting any incidents in Gray 17? So I go over to the turbo lift and I get in the thing and I say, go to Gray 17, and it dumps me off at 16. And I can't get any kind of a turbo lift to take me to Gray 17. Why can't I get to Gray 17? Gray 17's disappeared off of all of the computers. Well, why is that? And now you have a mystery to investigate. Why Gray 17 has been taken out of the station's systems. I know it's here because you got stuff happening all around it. Well, why suddenly have we got this hole in the station? And then you go that direction because now you have the station's been hacked. So you have an explanation, you have a logical explanation for why it's not showing up anywhere and why the elevator didn't stop there. It's because somebody programmed a computer to skip it and ignore it, and nobody goes there unless maybe they got some kind of a memory key or some kind of a something that gives them access to Gray 17. Otherwise, Gray 17 doesn't exist in the ship's computers anymore. Well, where did it go?
And that's why I said to me that's why I immediately suspected it was the Technomages, but clearly that quickly and even like with the little thing, you shouldn't be here and thing, and I'm like, oh, these are Technomages, crap, and and then it was just like totally fell apart at that point, and I'm like,
yeah, I mean, it could just be anybody that's got a high level classification for computer programming too. I'm just gonna disappear from the war.
Yeah, but also remember, Garibaldi hit his link and mentioned something to the link. That should have gone up to CNC and said, "Hey, listen, Garibaldi, tried to contact us, but his communication dropped
blocked
off
or something."
Yeah. Well, thank God we didn't have to hear another stupid explanation for why it didn't work.
Okay, but now I have a question. Now I will put out, like, I thought this group with their philosophy was somewhat interesting. Like, you could say that we're all one with the universe. This could be something back to a Vorlon or the original Shadows or some sort of religious thing that they believe that could have been mixed in somehow. Like, I thought when I first saw that, I'm like, okay, maybe this has something to do with an old ancient religion or a way of seeing the universe that the old ones might have. But then I'm like, but then I'm like, well, why do they have to hide out on this? Why could they just live down below like everybody else, and live like bums? Why do they have to seclude themselves, so they're not tainted by everyone else? It just didn't seem to make, much sense.
Because
they could just be some other kooky religion that everybody ignores.
Yeah. But I have been on the 13th floor at the Contemporary at Disney World. There is a 13th floor. You just can't get to it from the normal elevators.
Gross. Okay. Anyone have anything else to say about this meaningless storyline?
It detracts overall from the episode.
Yes.
The train is still running through the plot holes on just this episode alone. The train hasn't even stopped through it.
Yeah.
All right. So we go down to at the end where Sheridan's giving him, some crap about not being around, and Garibaldi's cutesy explanation. I also don't care about that. It's just
kind of where were you and blah blah blah. And it's like I think really it was an excuse to get Garibaldi out of the picture in this episode to explain why Garibaldi and his spidey sense didn't go off, because he was preoccupied with something else, and that's really the only explanation I could come up with for why they even bothered putting in this. And they didn't need to. They could have done it. Could have been done a dozen different ways.
Yeah, imagine Lanier could have gone to Marcus anyway. Garibaldi could have been at the scene, and when Naroon comes in with his bloody pole, Garibaldi could get in the way of him to block him, and then Delin looks at him and says, no, let him pass. And Garibaldi moves out of the way, and he comes in, he does his speech. Like, it could have just been done like that. You didn't need to keep him out of the way.
It seems like, oh, hey, Robert Englund is available.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, fine, I didn't mind seeing him, but I wish he had a part that wasn't stupid.
Okay, I agree with that one.
All right, Snob, I think that's about it for the plot, unless anyone's got anything else.
Anybody have any points they wanted to talk? Let me check my
anything we missed?
My list.
No, I think we covered this.
Okay.
What about? Let me mention. What about? What about Garibaldi's thin air joke? I mean, I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a little bit of a throwaway, but.
Well, she even said that well, I wouldn't be the expert at it. Well, actually, you would be more so than him, because aren't you like something to do with engineering or whatever? You would be the one that's dealing with the environmental systems.
I'm telling you, it's just not. He's just like vanished into thin air. Thin air. Why is it always thin air? Why not fat air, chubby air? mostly fit, could stand to lose a couple of pounds there. I'm sorry, sir, that's not my department.
Well, yes, it is. Yes, it really is. Just- sorry, ma'am. Yes, it is.
Okay.
The stuff about the air, Garibaldi, spouting off, that's consistent with Garibaldi. He's a
Yes.
smart aleck.
Uh,
The rest of it, nah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah.
Her answer was not, it would have maybe been funnier if she would have said, well, actually the environmental controls are set, blah 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 blah, some sort of techno babble that had to do with, the climate system or something like that would have made better sense. This saying that's not my department is like,
Well, she could be a waste management engineer and not an environmental engineer. She could be an electrical engineer and not an environmental engineer. I mean, you could do that, but you have to stretch to get there.
yeah, it's a far stretch. Okay.
know,
Even
I
if
was
she had
looking-
said, well, that's not that I don't handle that. You need to talk to so and so. He's the one who handles or she's the one who handles the
I was looking at
systems.
Robert Englund. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was looking at Robert Englund because I was saying, what the hell was Robert Englund doing at that time period? He was busy at that time period. I mean, I don't know how he had time for Babylon 5 because he had Walker, Texas Ranger. He did a couple other movies, Sliders, and then later on, he's doing Married with Children.
What are you doing?
Wait, Robert Englund was on Married with Children?
What are you doing?
He played Lucifer. Al dies, and there's this whole situation where Al dies. He ends up going to hell, and freaking Robert Englund is Lucifer.
When did which Nightmare on Elm Street movie came out about the same time?
No, that would be the Freddy's Nightmare would be the last one. It'll be 91, and then before that, the TV series was running. As
do I got to get the cats out?
yes. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
Fire up the cats.
Meow.
Meow.
Gavin asked Technomation or Technobabble or B5U's Technobabble. Not really. That not nearly like
not
Star
really. I
Trek.
guess. Yeah, when I was talking about Garibaldi's joke, I just was more about the writing. I'm not, like it just seemed. I mean, it fits Garibaldi to make those kind of jokes. I just didn't think it was, it didn't hit very good or
yeah.
There's a lot of cutesy kind of joking.
Yeah, it wasn't well written. I love Naroon's speech at the end, but then you've got this Garibaldi. I'm like, yeah, that's not really. We know why it's called thin air. It's because it doesn't have much oxygen in it. I mean, that's why.
No, remember I said this episode, it was not the greatest episode of the one. This episode was ruined by the Grey 17 story. I mean, you had such a good story on the B plot, which should have been the A plot to the point, but the A plot was just junk.
You really think this was the A plot?
Well, just going. Not for our show. It's not.
Well, what's the name of the episode?
The name of the episode, you'd think that it would be the A plot.
Should be, but
okay.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on the episode, ratings if you want. Jason, then Jeff, and yeah.
Oh, in the absence of the Grey 17 stuff, I'd say this is probably a good 7 out of 10. But I think the Grey 17 takes it down to about a 5.5 for me. That whole piece just does not work on a number of different levels. The Ranger 1 stuff, the stuff with Delenn, the stuff with Naroon and all of that, fairly acceptable, and it does advance the overall plot of the whole war story that we're telling for the season, which is a good thing. The Franklin stuff, kind of plays into that as well because of looking for the telepaths, and he's got a little mini arc that's happening in the middle of all of this, which is fine. I've never been a big fan of that character anyway, so I don't really care that much about him. But there's there's a trajectory for the character. At least he's not stagnant, which is fine. But the Grey 17 stuff was just junk. It didn't make a lick of sense. But at least we're moving forward in the war, and we get some more movement there with the Rangers and with the Warrior cast. So we'll see where that goes.
All right, Jeff.
Well, if I'm kind of like where Jason is. If you had not had the Gray 17 part of it, it probably would have been a 7. That really did detract from the episode. The scene with the doctor, that was it was important, but it was kind of like it was kind of it didn't really, it just served as another kind of a little breadcrumb, I guess, but I didn't really particularly like the way it was done. But I'm not going to be as cruel as Jason. I think I'm going to give it maybe a 6.5, because the two primary, what I'm considering the primary plot lines, were much better.
Did we lose Jeff?
Still there? Jeff just cut out on me.
Chainsaw got him.
Jeff, check your mic. You may have become disconnected or something. Madman, why don't you go ahead while we're waiting for Jeff to get himself sorted?
Okay. I have to agree with Jason also. Yeah, the Gray 17 plot was just I mean, awful. I did tell you guys that this is not going to be the greatest episode of the season on there. I mean, you go to IMDb, they have it listed as 6.6,
Really?
which is basically what I'll be giving it, be but at least a 6 on this episode. Like I said, the Delenn Minbari situation, they could have expanded a little bit more to the point, and I think it would have made it a better episode. But unfortunately, we got Gray 17, and it just didn't hit on all firing pins. I mean, like I said, these last 2 episodes weren't the greatest episodes in this season. The good thing is that the next 3 will be the better, better than this.
Okay. Thanks. Back to Jeff. Do you want to finish up what you got when you got cut off?
I don't know where did I go get cut off at?
You were saying something, and then you stopped.
I think you were wrapping towards the end of it.
Yeah, I was. I said, if in absence of Gray 17, it would have been a 7, but because of that and because of the stuff with the doc, 6.5 is about what the best I can give it.
All right, Cam.
What about the 2
The
cops?
Cam.
Sorry. I had to throw that in. Go ahead,
I
Cam.
think, well, I've already said that the Gray 17 thing absolutely sucked. It was, my criteria, I want to see the main storyline stuff. And it was just, you burned a significant chunk of time on garbage when literally any other story regarding the war could have been told. You could have had Sheridan occupied with some kind of war thing and the Ranger thing kind of in some way meshing with that and why it's relevant as to, again, it's not that I don't like the the element with the Rangers. And like I said, Marcus and Naroon and the way that played out was actually done very well, which leads to it. But it's kind of within this, it didn't have any larger context because they haven't made the Rangers as relevant. And they could have used this episode to do that, to show, there's something else going on in the war, and this and relating to the Rangers, and or expanding on what it means to be leading the Rangers. This is kind of an empty space that they haven't really gone into. Sinclair went off and did this, and we don't really, we didn't really see a whole lot about that. So it's a massive miss. It's not just you've done something that's stupid. It's wasting time when you could have done something valuable. So I'm fighting to give this a 5. Even though it does have some good elements, it's just the weight of the other stuff completely overwhelms it and pisses me off, honestly, that I had to sit through that stupidity. I really, really ticks me off for some reason. Obviously, it's just a TV show, but it extremely disappointed.
Okay. Yeah, for me, everyone's basically echoed it. I agree. Episode is good except for the Gray 17 parts, which is basically half of it. I give it a 5, and I'm going to say boring and pointless for the Gray 17 parts. And that's pretty much, pretty much sums it all up. I have a quick question put ahead by Gavin. Very quickly, gentlemen, let's go through. Is this a skippable episode? Yes or no? And maybe real quick, why? Or why not? Jason.
Maybe, maybe not. I mean, if you're gonna, if we revisit the Ranger 1 stuff at some point later down the road, then yeah, this was a skippable episode. But if this starts an arc, or if this is a defining moment, if this is one of those fixed points in time where, you have to know that this happened in order for these other things to make sense, then no, it's not a skippable episode, I think. But it's half filler. It's the Gray 17 stuff is a filler episode. The Ranger 1 stuff is not.
Right.
So yes and no. If there's a fan edit that takes all the Gray 17 stuff out, then that's the unskippable part.
It'll be a short episode, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeff, go ahead. Sorry, Jason. I thought you were finished.
No, I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the you can't firing a bullet with steam, and stacking them in a pipe that doesn't fit. I just, that's not how bullets work. Come on, we're talking about technology that, I know at least some of us here on here know and understand and maybe even own. So it's kind of a.
But is it skippable?
With the whole Gray 17 part, yes.
Well, no, the episode is the episode.
Is the episode skippable or not?
I don't believe it is skippable because you do have the ascension of Delenn to Ranger 1, and I think you do have sort of a coming to Jesus moment with Nehruun. So I think that's very important. You get the closure on that. It kind of maybe we're entering a new age with the Warrior cast. So I think that's why it's not skippable. The doctor part was kind of whatever. It just kind of kicked his character down, kicked the can down the road, so to speak, a little bit, but be interesting. And the information that he provided was valuable, but we don't know what happened to it. So maybe they're going to talk about it in the next episode. Who knows? Are they going to be able to, to track down some of these people? That would be kind of awesome, if they can get these people and they're willing to help out. But like I said, the Gray 17 stuff just. And that was what, probably half the show, a third of the show at least, if not more. That was kind of pointless, and you say you break suspension of disbelief when you try and do crap like they pulled when he was taking out the Zarg,
Okay. Madman.
Kitties, it's called fast forward, and it's not. I wouldn't call it a skippable. I would use the fast forward or the little bar underneath. If you're watching it online, just skip over those scenes of the Gray 17 part. Take in the Nehruun, the Delenn parts on there, because I think that's the part that is somewhat important. But the thing about it is the part with Nehruun and Marcus. I think it is, it's played very well to that point. Like I said, the Gray 17 ruins the whole situation, but take the moment to watch those scenes and then just forget the rest of the rest of the episode.
So Madman invents a new term, the fast forward episode, instead of skippable. Okay, Cam.
Well, no, we've had the fast forward since the
Yes,
invention of
yes,
the
I know.
VCR. So
No,
I mean, for this show.
yeah.
It's not skippable. I wish it was. And the only other thing I'll say about it is that it's too late in the series to be messing around with this BS.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we're late season.
Early on, we had some things where I said you could skip this episode because the threads aren't close to coming together. Now they are. This is just bad choices in storytelling, in my opinion.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go the opposite. I'm gonna say, I mean, it's skippable, but I am ready to take that back, depending on, like, I mean, the Naroon stuff and becoming Ranger One is important, but I mean, I mean, it depends on how much we're gonna get of the Rangers later, and what are they gonna do? If, like, it doesn't matter that Sinclair was in charge of them or Delin was. Maybe it will be important in a later episode, but until I see that, I mean, who cares who runs the Rangers?
I do have one question.
I mean, are we going to see Naroon again? If we're going to see Naroon again, and he's going to come, he's going to have a come to Jesus moment. He's going to help out the Babylon 5 crew or something, save the day in the future. Then, of course, this would be an important episode. But now I could say, well, you probably get away with just skipping it. Depends what comes next, but I don't know. So I reserve the right to change that opinion later, depending on what we see in the next couple episodes or couple seasons or whatever. But maybe I suspect the next 3 episodes, maybe it will become important. We'll see.
Okay. I got one question, which I don't think Snob, you or I or Jason can answer at this point. How does this change in her taking over the mantle of Ranger One affect the yeah, that's awesome. Who is Ranger One? You are Ranger 6. Oh Lord, that's a throwback. But how does that affect the Sheridan's position, because weren't they like co-equal, like in charge of the Rangers? So how does this work now? Is she just
locally
inspirational? I mean, no, I thought that was kind of a overall. I thought that was what Kosh had-
if I'm not mistaken, Delenn and Sheridan had shared control of the Rangers
on the station.
on the station, right? Yeah, through Babylon 5, because Sinclair was Ranger 1.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, maybe she's more of an inspirational figure, and he's more of the action and tactical type thing,
No,
Well,
remember what Zathra said. You are the beginning of the story. You are the middle of the story, and you are the end of the story.
Yeah.
Understand what he meant by that. Then you understand what Ranger One means.
So maybe Sheridan becomes Ranger One at some point in the future.
We'll find out.
Yeah. We'll find out.
All right. Trivia questions for next week. Let's go real quick. Next week's trivia questions are, I think we've got some of the answers. Maybe may have given. For which police department did Garibaldi's grandmother work for? Yes, and it's her grandmother, not great grandmother. I'm pretty sure he said grandmother. What is Garibaldi's nickname for Gray Sector? We didn't mention that.
I didn't, and I have it written down. Too late now.
So you can find out. It's not that hard to find out. What is the name of the cult leader in Grey 17? I think we mentioned it. Where is Delin's mother? We didn't talk about that much. Yeah. Where is she? And what is the name of the Minbari master who trained Marcus in the Pike? And I will mention that he also trained Naroon as well. They talk about it there together.
We didn't talk about Delin's father either, because that was kind of a heart-to-heart moment, Yeah. So.
Okay, what's coming up on Sci-Fi for Me TV, Jason?
Tomorrow we will have an interview with Scott Herman from what is it? What are they called? Wagme Games. Wagmi, WAGMI. They've got a new IP called Knife Wars, which is a combination of comic book, and I think they're working on an anime. There's a mobile game. Humans on the brink of war with the Greys over control of this substance called knife, which ends up being a power supply, a power resource. And whoever controls the knife, NIFE, can have control of the galaxy. So he's going to be on the show tomorrow. And then a new author to introduce you to, E.L. Montague, will be on the show Friday. And then Bad News Bard Sunday night.
Yep.
All right. Jeff.
So this Sunday on the Bad News Bards at 9 p.m.
Sunday.
Yeah, we are going to have Stephen Clements, who is an editor. He's done some writing, and he has an interesting YouTube channel. He's done a bunch of interviews of people in the gaming industry, and I mean tabletop gaming industry. And he also has a series where he tries to collect convention reviews. So tries to get. So we're gonna talk to him and ask him what does he look for when he's trying to get information on a convention review, so that he can post it. Because I'm going to CNYCon in June, and I'm curious. I want to know what kind of information he wants to get from me.
Yeah, well, that actually might be some useful information we could put into the N3F Fan Gazette.
Yeah, I'll talk to him about it. He actually has edited a number of stuff. He was an officer in the Army at one point in time, and so he did. You know, I've seen a few interviews with him. He's kind of a neat guy. He's kind of a neat guy. So it'll be fun. And then there is no game on Monday, as Cam was asking about earlier, because there's some other things going on that preclude it. But then we'll be back here next Wednesday, and I can maybe talk about the following Sunday. That one's going to be exciting, and maybe more exciting than I had originally thought it might be. So,
All right. Madman.
Well, if you didn't catch today's videos, we had some physical media stuff on there. Japan's ramping up Blu-rays, and also the retro New York City video store. Be sure to catch that. It's amazing that these guys are doing such a good business here in New York, and they only been open a year. Tomorrow we have another video. It's hitting about 6. It's a game developer in Japan that she's been debanked, and basically most of that money that she makes from that goes to her cancer treatment. So basically you have a bank now that is just literally holding her money back from all her cancer treatments into that situation. Of course, we also have the Madman Cafe on Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We're also trying to we have feelers out there because we've already had some contact. Rhonda Shear from USA Up All Night. We're trying to get her on the show to talk about her network that she started, the USA Up, the Up All Night network, which is doing very well for itself on there. She's already promoted the episode that I was talking about her, so we've got a little bit of an open communications there. We'll see what happens on that as well. And I have to say to Jason, before I cut this off, Jason, you've had a great week this week on your show. Pasha, Paul.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's been fantastic watching this week on your show.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So go check those out. Everybody, yeah.
Yes. We need to get to 3,000 subscribers on YouTube. 5,000 subscribers.
I'm trying to help, man.
5,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Oh, and before I forget, I'm 4 away from 1,700 subscribers.
Well, I need more subs on my channel too. Tennessee Tabletop Tavern, everybody. I need more subs.
Go sub to those channels. All right. And some of our affiliates who are not on the program today, Outpost Nerd at Night, Go check him out. He's got videos that he drops. YouTube.com, Outpost Nerd. Check his stuff out. And of course, Dean, who's on the program. Oh, sorry. Outpost Nerd will be on next week too. I think he's our
Cool.
special guest. I think
He's a special
Next
guest?
2 episodes.
let me
He's
check.
special.
Yeah. Next 2 episodes, yes. And of course, Dean, who is our we see every once in a while on this show as well. He's got his game that he's working on. It's a RPG game, and he has his. You can see there. He's got when his shows are on, and his Tuesday show, which I always mention, usually talks about the game itself. And I think he did this week. He did a live create a spell. How you create a spell in the game live? I think that's what he did this Tuesday on that episode. And every week he's got something where he'll talk about how to make a character, the gods in the game, that kind of stuff. And it's coming up pretty quick for I think October maybe Kickstarter. He's talking about perhaps doing that. We'll see. I'm sure the next time he's on the show he'll fill us in. Probably on the show next week he'll fill us in a little bit more. Sorry,
I was gonna say Dean helped me out with Dean and of course my buddy Dan, who is in that Monday game. They both helped me out when Cam had a prior obligation and was not able to make the interview with Steven Chenault from Trollord Games last Thursday, which was a special episode. So I shout out to Dean for the help and Dan as well. So.
All right, and shame to Cam. Cam, what's going on? Anything you want to mention?
I'm just scheduled by other people pretty much every day of the week.
Was that a deep sigh? Are we
Yeah,
monopolizing
yes.
your time?
And of course,
Go ahead.
go ahead, finish up.
I was just gonna say, have you guys ever seen the meme like where it's like man regrets planning thing he really wanted to do, or that's me. That's me.
That's all right.
And of course, this channel we've got every Wednesday Babylon 5. Next week we are doing, and The Rock cried out, "No hiding place." Outpost Nerd is our special guest panelist, and Dean is our other guest panelist. So they'll be on. And this week, Sunday on the Top Lofty Lounge, it's episode 100, the 100th episode extravaganza. And I'm sure we'll try to find something extravagating to do with it. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, what we're looking at right now is doing at least looking at some of the past episodes that we've done, and then maybe asking the audience, hey, what do you want to see in the future? But we may add to that. And if there's something that you want to add, you think we should talk about on the show, drop something in the comments, drop me an email, Discord, any of that stuff, X, whatever it is you want to send me a message.
Oh,
what you think it should be. We check the comments, we check all that stuff. So feel free, go ahead.
If I can mention, because probably you haven't said this yet, this is the next 3 episodes of the last. We're at the end of season 3.
Season 3, really?
Yeah. Yep.
Damn.
There's 3 more episodes left, and guess what? The trailer for season 4 is just
Already
ready.
in the
Well,
can?
actually, we're going to be doing it in 2 parts. So part 1 is just ready to go.
Yeah. So we might as well. We'll mention that. So we're going to split season 4 into 2 parts. Part 1 and part 2. And the trailer for part 1 is we will premiere it on the last episode, Zahadum, because there's some spoilers in it maybe. So we'll show it on episode 22. You'll see the trailer, and then after that, we'll put them up on the channel and send them out there. And and of course after Zahadum, we will have a wrap-up show, of course, as we normally do for the season. Right on. Okay. Did I miss anything, Cam?
I don't think so.
All right. That's it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to all the panelists who came in. Thanks for everybody in the chat for adding to our knowledge and asking questions and being on here and, talking with us and putting your 2 cents in the show. That's why we do the show, for the people who are watching it. And, we'll see you all next week. Good night,
Smoke
everybody.
me a kipper.
Thanks,
I'll be
everybody.
back before
everybody.
breakfast.
Stay mad, stay cool.
Good evening. Ambassador Lando Molari here from Babylon 5. Please join me on the Babylon 5 retrospective on Science Fiction Snob, Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Central. Yes? Have I ever told you you're very cute for a Mambari?